It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of September 2nd, 1994. Labor Day weekend that was pretty much packed than usual. I mean, there was more than just a couple of movies there, and some notable movies in particular. But the question is any of them going to be any good? Well, certainly not this first movie. The biggest new release of the weekend: Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris starring in Milk Money. Dude, what was going on in 1994? I mean, this is the second movie that's been like this that we've looked at that has made me go, what were they thinking? I mean, we already looked at Blank Check, which is the movie where you have this older woman, Karen Duffy, kissing this kid about like 12, 13 years old on the lips, and it's just like, and now you have this movie here, which is just like, this is just wrong on so many levels. I mean, just this idea that these high school kids are just like, no, we want to go to the city to see a woman to see a naked woman, and it's just like excuse me, it's just like, what were they thinking? And I think this movie was like a hot script at the time they bought it. I think the writer of this actually sold it for over $1 million. It was like a spec script that was sold for $1 million, and one of the producers on it, Dino De Laurentiis, which is a name you might be familiar with, actually sued the writer of it, alleging that his agent made a verbal agreement to sell the film to his company, but eventually sold it to Paramount when they sold it to him for a little bit more. And this was actually set up to be a film by Joe Dante, which, I mean, maybe he could have made this work, considering what Joe Dante has done in the past, but no, there was really no way to save this movie. This is a film that was just like, what a mess of a film this movie is, and the fact that this small town is just so enthralled by this hooker that comes to town, and it's just like what was Melanie Griffith thinking picking these really bad movies? She picked a ton of these bad movies back then, but this may be the very worst one, and it's not like she's not trying to save it. I mean, she and Ed Harris are trying their best to save it, but when it has to go back to what this film is supposed to be about, these three kids who want to see a naked lady, it's just like, do we really need to do this? Like, do we really need to go get this icky with it? And it's just not good. It's just a movie that's just so ewy on so many levels, and everybody's trying. And like I said, Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris are trying their best to save it, but even they can't really save it because the script is just so bad. And Richard Benjamin, man, I mean, like, he's made some great stuff in the past, but man, this is another one where he's just kind of like, what were you thinking when you said yes to this? Like, just, it's wrong on so many levels. It's not a very good movie at all. It's not funny. It's not clever. It's not charming. It's just ew. It's just ewy. It's just ewy on so many levels. And it's just like, I don't know what was going on in 1994 that we had so many of these movies. But lo and behold, we did. So yeah, that's Milk Money for you. Let's move on to a much better movie, and that is Whoopi Goldberg and Ray Liotta in Corrina Corrina. Okay, when I said better, I didn't mean like great movie and all, but I mean, it's certainly a lot better than Milk Money is. But truth be told, this movie isn't terrible. It's not the worst. It has a good idea to it. I mean, this idea that Ray Liotta and Whoopi Goldberg play this interracial couple that end up getting together while she's trying to raise his kid as a nanny, and it almost works, but you never really feel the chemistry they have there together. It's one of those movies what I think was trying to say much more than what they end up putting on the screen. And I don't know if it's the fault of this director, Jesse Nelson, who actually went on to make a really good movie later on down the road with I Am Sam, and then kind of ended their career after that with Love the Coopers, which was not a very good movie. And I don't know, like, I think this movie could have been a whole lot better if they delved more into the relationship between Liotta and Goldberg. They're trying their best here to save it, as is Tina Majornio, who we talked about with Andre a couple weeks prior to this. But I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that I don't think really took all the opportunities they had to tell a good story here. I think there is a good idea here, but it's just not a very solid film all around. It's a film that I thought could have worked a lot better if they delved more into the complications of their relationship and more time with the kid and all that. But it's not a terrible movie. It's just not one that's really all that memorable. It's a film that I saw it once. I thought it was just alright, but as it is, it's just kind of like, it's there. It's nothing too special, but it's not the worst thing I've seen. I mean, I mean, like I said, Milk Money's much worse, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on this one. Karina. So let's move on to the next movie here. Kind of an underrated gem starring Samuel L. Jackson and Giancarlo Esposito, and that is Fresh. So yeah, this is kind of an underrated urban crime thriller that came out in the middle of the hype of that specific genre. You have Boaz Yankin, who's best known for his work on Remember the Titans. This was his film feature debut, his writing and directorial debut, and this is also the feature film debut for Sean Nelson, who plays the title character of Fresh. And not a bad performance. He really gives it his all in here, and it's just a very interesting story. You're following this 12-year-old kid as he's going through these situations in the ghetto streets of I can't remember where this is located. I think it's New York City, but I don't know. I haven't seen this movie in a while. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe it's New York City, but I could be definitely wrong on that part. But it's a very good movie. It's a film that kind of went under the radar for a lot of people, but it definitely has grown a massive following over the years. I think people really have come to see this movie is very interesting. You're following this 12-year-old kid as he's going through these really critical situations, and you don't really get to see that in movies like this. Like in Boys in the Hood, these guys are teenagers, and in New Jack City, they're teenagers and closer to young adults. But in this case, you're following a 12-year-old kid around, and it's a very interesting perspective that he sees in this, because he's basically trying to survive. Like you see in the trailer, he gets so lucky in these situations, and at some point that luck's going to run out. And he's going to have to think on his feet and use his brain and figure out what to do next. And you got some pretty good performances in here. Samuel L. Jackson is very good in here, as well as Giancarlo Esposito. You have Nabushi Wright from Blade in here as well. Just a really good cast overall, and just a really good setup too. It's a movie that not a lot of people talk about. It has grown a following over the years, and I hope people really do continue to find it, because it's a movie that was really one of the big surprises when I saw it many years ago. And yeah, I think it's a very good film, a very underrated little gem here. Definitely check it out if you can. Fresh. It's directed by Boaz Yankin from Remember the Titans. So yeah, definitely look for it if you can. Fresh. But let's move on to the last movie that we have here, and that is Steve Martin starring in A Simple Twist of Fate. So interestingly, this is based off of an 1861 novel called Silas Marner, and it kind of modernizes that story, and it really isn't that much of an impressive story. I mean, you basically have a loner and Steve Martin, who eventually finds this kid, and he eventually ends up raising him, and there really isn't a lot there, honestly, but that's what's great about Steve Martin. He can usually take a film like this, a concept like this, and he usually can make it work on his own merits. I mean, he did write this as well, too, and I think it works mostly because of him. There's really nothing all that amazing about it. There's nothing really all that new or different about it, but I think it works very well because the acting overall is very good, not just by Martin, but you also have Gabriel Byrne, Laura Linney, Catherine O'Hara, Stephen Baldwin's also in here as well, and you do like this little kid that plays the daughter that he finds, Alana Austin, and I think she works in that role very well. The biggest problem with the film is the fact that it doesn't really do anything too spectacular or amazing or new or different, but it is what it is. I think it works very well for what it is. I think it could have been a whole lot better in terms of, like, maybe trying to do something a little bit different, but like I said, for what it is, it's perfectly salvageable for what it is. I think it is a film that works well enough as it is, but definitely could have been a whole lot better if they really would have gone all in on it. But you know what? For what it is, I thought it was all right. Well, that was kind of an abrupt way to end that one, but we do end this episode of Time About the Movies. But next time we meet, we'll look at two movies, including Trial by Jury and also A Good Man in Africa. So 2 movies to look at next time, and we'll delve into those in the next episode. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.